please welcome Accela President and CEO, Maury Blackman.
All right. If we haven't met, my name is Maury Blackman. I'm the CEO of Accela. And on behalf of myself and the 138 Accela employees that are here today, I'd like to welcome you to San Diego and give you a nice round of applause for spending the week with us. You know, I always like to, I was outside last night really enjoying the breeze, and I was visiting with a number of people. I was kind of thinking, boy, I'd really hate to be on the East Coast right now. How many people are from the East Coast? So welcome to the nice, cool breeze of San Diego. You know, every year we kind of go through, not every year, but every few years we kind of go through an internal discussion. Should we move the conference to the East Coast? And every time, I say to myself, I say, you know what, I'm really not into sweating. So I'd rather do it right here in San Diego. It can't always be that way, but that's fine. How many first-timers do we have here? Awesome. Thank you very much. So if you've been to at least 5 conferences, take a stand. At least 5. If you're an Accela employee, sit down. You don't count. I saw Brian over there standing. He did this to me last year. It's like the first thing is, okay, guys, everybody sat down. No, I said you can stand up. If you've been to 5 or more, please stand up. Thank you. But keep standing. Okay, anybody been here for 10 or more? See Guan. It's hard for me to see in the back. I see the same guy, though, who was here last year. You're going to win again, right? 10 or 15. Who's been here 15? No, you haven't? Just Guan. Congratulations. So actually, I think that, so some of you know the story, some of you don't, but I'll share it with you. I actually first became exposed to this conference when it was Sierra Computer Systems Conference. And this is back when I was doing something different, but I came to this conference and I actually met Guan at my first one. So I remember that. Do you remember that? Yeah, yeah. Well, what I was selling, he bought. And he used it for a really long time, right? I wrote some incredible software back then. You know, this conference is really about 2 things. I think the first thing is this is about education. I mean, that's why most of you are here. You're here to learn about our product. And, you know, what we hope you'll do is you'll learn about the product, you'll visit with your peers, and you'll share your experiences and the things that you've done so that you and your colleagues can understand what's possible with the platform. And then you'll take what you've learned at this event and you'll take it back home and apply it to really build out the solution stack that we've made available to you. The second view of this conference for me is, you know, a lot of public companies have shareholder meetings, annual shareholder meetings, where they bring everybody together and they talk about what the expectations are or where they've been and what the expectations are for the next 12 months. And I think that we are all shareholders in this ecosystem that we're operating in. We're actually, you know, a more technical term, a better way to define it is we're stakeholders. We're all stakeholders in a bigger game that we're playing together, and that game is how to make democracy better. And it's something that we evangelize internally here almost every day, is that, you know, at the higher level, you know, it's about democracy. At the lower level, it gets, you know, into the nitty-gritty details about, you know, does this app work? Does this trigger do this? Does this trigger do that? But at the end of the day, it's about really connecting people to government. One of the things that, you know, when we were putting together this conference and the title, you know, it's always an internal debate about, you know, how are we going to talk about ourselves this year? What are we going to do? And earlier in the year, we came up with this concept and thinking about it internally about how to really describe what we're doing to the lots of new employees that we're bringing on board, as well as people that are jumping on our ecosystem. And one of the things that we realized that's important to our ecosystem is we really operate in two different worlds. We operate in the world of citizens who have expectations about how their governments should behave, about how we all should behave, the things that we should do for them. And secondly, we operate in the world of government. So it's important for us to understand what governments need and how they want to operate together. And that's important to you, obviously, because you have an obligation not only to your citizens, but actually to the leadership who's out there evangelizing, helping you bring these things to bear. So we really tend to characterize ourselves, and I will bring this up numerous times today, is that we really speak two languages here at Accela. Our ecosystem, everyone in this room speaks two languages. We speak the language of citizens, so we understand what they want, and we also speak the language of government, so we understand what governments need. So what we're doing is we're actually bridging these two worlds together. When I think about last year, and I think about all the things that we've accomplished, it's really hard. This has been a really, really fun experience for me to put together this presentation because, so many times you're really grasping at straws to kind of talk about, oh, here's all the great things that happened last year. But I think for the first time, I really had to condense it down. And so I tried to think about what I would present to you from the standpoint of, I need to talk about the headlines. So if I were writing a newspaper, what would the headlines look like? So really the first one, and I'm going to go through all four of these real quickly, and then I'll expand on them in detail and talk about what it means to us and what it means to you. So the first one, software company secures $40 million in growth capital. It's the largest investment in a government pure play company in more than a decade. My second headline is Accela maintains winning ways. So we're growing double digits at 25%, and we're adding a ton of new people. I think a lot of it's funny, when I was at the event last night, I met a lot of people who were customers at the event last year who are actually working for us today. So that's fantastic to see. Third headline, and this is something that's very, very close to my heart. Customers heap praise on Accela's customer care program. And then my final headline for the year is Accela's civic platform story gets legs. The company adopts an open data strategy, adds 4 new solutions and 500 new accounts in 6 months. So let me spend a few minutes kind of digging in a little deeper in each one of those so you get the full flavor of what this means. So, the first one, it's the first investment in a company that's in the pure play software space for government in more than a decade. And what that means to Accela and what that means to our ecosystem, our partners, and to our customers is that investors in the marketplace are looking at us and saying, you know what, this space is ripe for innovation. These guys are doing the right things. They have a solid company, and it's something that we want to invest in. And that translates into numerous opportunities for all of us. The first point, investment drives innovation. So through this investment, we're able to really expand the footprint of people inside our company that are working on services, and it allows them to think forward. Some of the things that I'm going to show you today, I don't think any of us in here would have imagined were possible, 5 or 10 years ago. It enables us to invest in our partners and expand our ecosystem. So we can go out to services partners and help train them, provide them the tools and services to really bring them up to speed on how to implement our products. Also, we're able to invest in developers. So that this is so important because Accela can't do it all, you can't do it all, but there's a whole reservoir of developers out there who are interested in civic innovation. And we can tap them and help mature them and bring them to market so that they can build solutions on top of our platform that have value for all of us. I think you're going to see some examples today that are going to really inspire you on what these entrepreneurs have done to really revolutionize the space that we operate in, the space that we're stakeholders in. And the final point of that is the investments help us build out stronger infrastructure support. So this will translate itself all the way down into what I'm going to be talking about with customer care and how that's really helped us frame ourselves out and really helped you do your jobs better. The other thing, too, that I think is really important for me when I think about our company and the solutions that we offer is that the investments have also enabled us to build some internal solutions that are new to us to show how our platform story can work for us, but it's also enabled us to reach out to other partners, younger, aggressive, mature companies who have built best-of-breed solutions in their particular space and bring them into our ecosystem so that they're part of our platform story as well. So Accela maintains its winning ways. I mean, I think that, one of the things that we're super proud of is, in spite of the fact the investment came in last year, it really takes a while for it to kind of trickle into the company. But in spite of that, what we've seen is our revenues continue to grow at 25%. There are very few companies out there in the marketplace that have the kind of revenue that Accela has and are still seeing double-digit growth. So that's important to us and it's important to you, because it shows that we have a solid foundation from which to operate in. Our employee growth worldwide is up 66%. It's kind of a tongue twister there from what it was last year. And most important to each of you, I'm sure, is that our engineering resources, the investments that we're making back into our product, are up 54%. We're in this for the long term. We're in this for the long haul. When you look at some of our competitors who are public companies, and you can look at their investments in R&D and how they're growing headcount, it's nowhere near what Accela is doing. They're not making near the investments back into their product that Accela is doing. So I'm very proud of that, and I think it's really a differentiator for us and will help show in the future how we're going to expand this marketplace. Customers heap praise on Accela's customer care program. This actually goes back a few years for me, because I think probably 4 years ago when I was at one of my first events as the Accela CEO, a couple customers, I didn't actually see him here, maybe Guan's always been really outspoken in his 15-year tenure here, he said, "You know what, your customer service is terrible." I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I think, at the time what they were trying to say is that they don't hear enough from us. The only time they really hear from us is when we want to sell you something, or if there's a bill, checks in the mail, or if there's a bill and we want to know where the payment is. So for us, what we did is we kind of started to think about, how we could change ourselves and how we could really transform this relationship that we have between ourselves and our customers. Because it's not just about the customer resource center picking up the phone and answering your call. It's about a whole process that goes on behind the scenes that really enables us to care for our customers. So the first thing we did is we layered on an account management team. So I'm sure at least everybody in here now knows who their account manager is. But a few years ago, we didn't have this function, and what we've done with it is we wanted each of you to have an internal champion at Accela, to where any issues, any challenges, any thoughts you had could be channeled directly to them and would propagate down to us. So we invested and set up this account management function as a way to help provide more support. The second thing we did, and this started last year, was we set up a customer success team. And I think this is where most of the emails I get today are coming from, where people are just excited about what we've done for them. And we took some of the best people in our company, the best solution consultants, the best salespeople, and took them out of that role and put them into this customer success organization, which is a non-revenue generating function. So from my standpoint and from the company's standpoint, I took a lot of grief from salespeople saying, how could you take Andrew out of the field? He's our best sales guy. I'm like, well, you know what? This is an investment in the future. This is an investment in the long term. And what we want to do is we want to set up success for all our customers. Accela is, we understand where we are in the world. We're a niche little vertical play. We're not a big horizontal company like Microsoft or Oracle that touches a whole bunch of different functions. We have a little group that we operate in, and success to you means success to us because we fully understand that people are looking at you, not just internally, but externally. When your jurisdictions do great things, people look at that and they want to see who the vendor is and they come back to us. So this customer success team is critical to enabling you to take full advantage of the software that we're investing in. We're investing 54% in new growth in engineering, and we want you to be able to take advantage of this. How many of you have had a customer success visit? Not too many. But I think when you meet with your peers who've raised their hand and asked them about it, they'll tell you, without question, it's the best thing that ever happened to them. And finally, the customer support function itself. So this is when you call in and you have a problem. But I think the important thing here is that all of these groups are working together to really help round out the experience for our customers. So the final part, the final headline that we have up here is Accela Civic Platform Story Gets Legs. So the company adopts an open data strategy, adds 4 new solutions and 500 new accounts in 6 months. So when I think about this part of the story, this is a real differentiator for me in my mind about where we're headed, because we're all working together to improve democracy, as I stated in the beginning. And citizens, what we really want is for citizens to love us. I mean, we kind of think of it internally at Accela as there's really 3 values that we want to line ourselves up with. The first thing is we want our citizens to trust us. We want to be able to provide software that builds trust in government. Secondly, and this is always a tough one, we want citizens to love working with us and love working with you. We want them to love the software that we put out there. And finally, we want to build creativity. We want to inspire people's creativity so they can build out these solutions. So at the end of the day, this is all about citizens and making them happy. But what we see out there in the space a lot of times is something that's very different. I as a citizen, a lot of times I find myself frustrated with government and the way that I'm working with them. It's kind of like, I was speaking to a contractor just before this meeting, and I said, how's inspections and how's the approval process? How's that improved? He said, man, I don't think that the inspection process in my agency has changed in 100 years. And he's probably right. It's probably exactly the same. So what's happened is when people go out in the world and they buy products from Amazon. So they go online and they shop and they see what's possible. I as an Amazon customer, I love using Amazon. I go online, I buy a product, I can read the reviews on that product, I can get into the nitty-gritty details about it. And then when I buy it, I can track it through the Amazon supply chain and see kind of how it's getting to me. And then at the end of the day, I can see when FedEx delivers it to my doorstep. The other day I signed up for this new service from FedEx. It's called Delivery Manager. And I went online and I gave it my name and I gave it my address, and it registered for me this service. And then last night, when I got back from our event, I pulled up my email, and FedEx Delivery Manager had sent me a message saying, hey, you just had a package that was shipped to you, and it's expected to be at your house tomorrow between 9:30 and 10, and can you please have someone there to sign for it because it requires a signature? And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I want. And I think when citizens experience those things, they have that same expectation of us, of our ecosystem. And so what it does is it puts up these 2 opposing worlds that citizens and government are in. So citizens, on the one hand, they have very detailed expectations about what they want from us, deriving themselves from dealing with the great consumer brands. So citizens, they're concerned about instant gratification. I want it now, I want to get it. They want it to be 24/7. They want it to be conversational, so I want to go online and read reviews and understand about those products. I want it to be innovative and cool. And you know what? I really don't care if it doesn't work. Why? Because if it doesn't work, I just delete it. I was looking through, I lost my iPhone and I had to, reinstall all this stuff. And I was looking through all the different applications that I've bought over the past, 5 years or however long the iPhone's been around. It's like 200 or 300. And I really only use 5. I really only use 5. But you know what? I don't care. I just deleted those guys. They're gone. Didn't work. Thanks. So it didn't matter to me. Government, on the other hand, we operate from an entirely different paradigm. What do we think about? We think about it needs to be compliant. It needs to be fair for everyone. It needs to be rock solid. It's got to be secure. It's got to be prescribed. There's a set process on the way this has to work. It has to be deliberative. And absolutely, the number one thing that any government service can't do is what? It cannot fail. Because if it fails, you're going to be like Obamacare and up on, in the newspapers, and no one wants that. I mean, I think one of the things that the whole Obamacare incident did for me is that, it actually gave me a little bit of stress, because then a lot of people were calling me saying, hey, we're going live, we're not going to have an Obamacare problem, right? Like, no. One of the things, I actually laugh about that, because I know some of our customers, we've gone through like 6 months of unit testing. Does anybody remember how, I kind of gave it away. Does anybody remember how much time the Obamacare website underwent unit testing? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So anyway, cannot fail. So what we have to do in our little world, in our ecosystem that we're working together in, both Accela, our customers, our partners, what we have to do is we have to really speak two languages. We have to speak the language of these citizens and understand what they want. But at the same time, we have to speak the language of government. So we have to understand what governments need. And if we can speak these two languages together, what we can do is really build bridges and bring these worlds together so that they can understand each other, and we can be successful. At the end of the day, this is about technology. And even though technology has taken leaps and bounds forward, what we want to do is we want to bring a platform story and a solution forward so that we can use technology to basically connect these two worlds, to enable them to speak the same language. So our platform story and what we're selling and what we're evangelizing in this space is called the Accela Civic Platform. And kind of at the base level, what we've done is we built out solutions and services that are uniquely tailored towards government. There are other horizontal platforms out there in the space, Salesforce for one. But what's unique about the Civic Platform is it's custom-built, tailor-made for government. So workflow management, fee collection, contact management, it's all government-centric. So it does business, those components do business the way our customers, our government clients, intend to do things. And it's also targeted towards citizen services that are unique towards government. We have this piece in our platform, the base level, called best practice templates. And what these are is the templates that enable you to build solutions to take things to the next level. So when you look at kind of the next layer of the Civic Platform, what you have is the solutions that we've built on top of these services. So solutions for land management, permitting. I mean, most of us in here are doing something around land, licensing, or asset management. But when you look at kind of, as we go farther to the right, you see the newer solutions that we brought into this platform story. So all of these solutions, all working in unison on the platform, provide a very integrated and complete story. And at the end of this, I'm going to make some predictions, but I'll tell you one of my predictions right now. This stack is going to grow exponentially during the next 12 months. Both through, we've got a lot of people working on some really new cool stuffs, and we're also talking to a lot of what I think are really innovative companies about jumping on board with this story. Much like Amazon, what we want to do is we want to provide a unified portal view so that our customers, our citizens, when they go online, they can basically shop for permits, licenses, and do business with us almost exactly the way that they shop on Amazon. Through our APIs and SDKs, what we've done is provided the capability for developers, both externally and internally, to build uniquely targeted apps towards specific functions. So along the top here, you'll see, Accela, we have an app called Accela Analytics. We built it internally. It provides leadership with kind of the functionality to look and see across the organization about what's going on in their specific departments. But we also have other applications like Civic Insight and Building Eye, which are both solutions that are targeted towards unique little niches inside government that enable them to work very closely with municipalities and provide services. And these are developers that we brought on board that we've worked with to help foster their understanding of our market and bring into the space and provide you with services. And then at the highest level of our platform story is social media and gamification integration. So one of the things that, one of the things I learned very early on at Accela is that governments really don't like the press. And I don't blame you. The reason for that is because most of the time when the press calls, they're looking to point out something wrong. So we're a little bit reticent to talk to them. But I think through social media, what it gives us a chance to do is to advertise our success in a very meaningful and neutral way. So for example, if your public works department fixed 10 potholes in 1 hour, if you tweeted about it, that would be great news to your community. It's like, hey, I understand, I have transparency. I understand what's going on in government. I get it. On the gamification side, I mean, this is one that was just kind of an aha moment for me. It's about engaging your citizens. It's about, we as humans love strategy. We love to figure out how to win. So there's I promised not to name names, but there's a certain governor out there who's, very engaged and political, who wants to have a fishing contest. And he wants to, his goal for his stated goal for the fishing contest is to sell more fishing licenses. I think his secondary goal is to, hey, look how awesome my state is, which, I can't disagree with that. But what we're doing there is we're gamifying an app to basically empower the state to be able to do this fishing contest. I think it's going to be really awesome and cool and tell a phenomenal story. So at the end of the day, what we think the output here is going to be is that if we do all these things right, if we're able to connect all these dots and bring all these services up, what we're going to do is we're going to engage our customers at a whole different level. One of the stories that I always tell and think back to is that this country was founded on technology. It's not the technology that we have today. It's the technology of 200 years ago, which was the printing press. And one of the things that makes this country special in my mind is that for the first time, what you saw was people writing about what good government was about, and they could mass print it and share it with all their friends through newspapers, pamphlets, documents, all that type of stuff. And from that was born out the institutions that we have today. And at that point in time, they didn't do polling, but people were so engaged in the American Revolution and what was going on in this country. It was phenomenal. But those institutions are the same ones that we have today. I mean, people are still using pen and paper, obviously. Most of us aren't here. I mean, we've taken things to a different level. But what we believe is that if we can use technology and use it the right way, we can engage customers, and that will make all the difference for not only us, but most importantly for you. Because what will enable you to do is become heroes in the eyes of your citizens. It will enable them to see you through a whole different light, because they'll say, you know what, I understand what's going on in my agencies. I understand what's going on with my permit. I understand where my license is. And that engagement will make all the difference to you.